Alrighty, good afternoon, everybody. Andrew here, doing a radar update for 12/17/2024, and it's going to jump right back in here. Sorry for not getting one of these out yesterday. I'm trying to almost get them out daily, but um, yesterday was pretty difficult for me, and it's been really busy just to kind of get things completed before next week, which is Christmas. So kind of a scramble on certain things with work and what have you, but definitely seeing some interesting, as I said earlier, shifting in our trades chat in my chat room. Definitely see some shifting here, and I just want to share a little bit about why I keep saying are we actually seeing a drop soon? Gold, I talked about this being an A and then the ABC for B, a 1, 2, 3. Still looks that way. This is the daily. Holding on the pivot here. So this is kind of that line in the sand for the moment, but now starting to really get some traction under the 50-day. Okay. Under the 50-day moving average. And you can see down here, my target is right around this 2380, down in this wave 4, wave 2 area. And but this blue teal line is also some resistance support. So I don't know, is it going to just sharply spike down? I don't think so. I think there's going to be some grinding maybe, but then we will probably have something that will drop it down. I'm not sure what it's going to be. um I- you know i'm pretty I'm pretty convinced that we're going to see this year. I don't I know it's not a guarantee, of course, but the more this looks, especially in the 3-day, showing where we had some resistance, as really did show up for resistance, and then having these candles. Oh, it was the weekly, really, actually. Yeah, the weekly was just, you got this big wick up here in the top, another big wick, which would be the B, and then so we should have this C coming down. And again, just really, we're getting this kind of follow through um, to the downside. It's still holding up. So, because the market is not, it's still very bullish, and it will continue to be. The pullback, doesn't mean it's bearish long term or anything, but if there is a pullback, it's probably going to take some time. I've been saying January, February, March, first quarter kind of thing. So, in this area is really kind of how I see this kind of playing out, something, like this in a way. So, that's just kind of my thoughts. It's exactly how I would see this play out. And then we would have some kind of drop in. I guess maybe if this was, perfect, it'd be like January. I don't know. But, that's, again, I don't have a crystal ball. So I don't, again, it might still go up, but I just don't like to count. So just for it to go up. So really on the side of downside in the next couple months. Okay, so that's still how I believe we're heading. Actually, another thing too, I just want to bring up is the minis. Um, there was a gap today, if I'm not mistaken. Looking at the weekly, here we go. The gap open today. Um, so that was kind of great. We got some curling right here in the RSI, so that's good. But we're near that R1, and it gapped into the R1, and then it's been coming down actually after the gap. So I might want to fill that. There's some support here, support levels, but this is why I don't think it's just going to be this crazy drop. I just think it's going to be a little bit of a sell-off, in some way or fashion. But we are hitting the R1, or just near it, okay? And it's definitely looking like kind of an ending kind of diagonal here in a way, and I don't know, it feels like it's kind of heavy. I'll just be honest. Is there more upside? Possibly. But again, there's some supports down here, some nice support levels that we can find ourselves into. But is this going to be the top for a little while? I don't know. Um, but it definitely does feel like we're getting close. Okay, I'll just say that. Okay, it definitely feels like we're getting close. R3 on the weekly. You know, so anyway, I don't trade the ES1 really all that much, the minis. I just there's so much crypto opportunities. I just really stick to that. But I do like to jump in there once in a while and take a look at it and see, what we're kind of working with. I want to bring up Target TGT because I brought this up a little while ago and said that I believe that we got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and done. And it's definitely looking more and more like that's the case. So 1, 2, 3, 4 with a triangle and 5. And now there's like a flat here with an A, B, and C into just past the 382. Now holding almost hit the 5 into wave 4. And when I zoom in on the hourly, it even looks even better. So we have the A, B here, and then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that looks pretty solid, actually. I'm not going to lie. This is potentially a buying spot or very close to it. It did go past the hourly pivots pretty quick here, within the last today and yesterday. But, if we kind of find ourselves finding some support, maybe like one more wick down, possibly. It looks like 5 down. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It really does. I don't know if there's even much left to go down, really. So, and the RSIs are starting to really start to find some support there on the curling aspect of it, meaning like we're going to probably see some upside here soon. So what I would like to see is if you're interested in and target TGT, is like we would like to see like a 1, 2, like maybe like a 5 back up to this area. We look for that count and then we look for that pullback and then we'll get go time. Okay, so that's something to look for. So you'd like to see. I don't want to get like right here because it just doesn't feel right yet. I do like the pullbacks though, like I'm saying. But so I want to see the count up, and I want to see the pullback, and then we'll get a go for that if we're going to jump into TGT. Okay, and Roblox, that's the trade we're in. And I talked about getting to the R4 was the target. I'm still feeling that way now. Getting close though to this 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we got 1, 2. Working on that 3 of 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then like maybe a 3 to 4, 5, and then we should be done. So this R4, we still got a good opportunity to hit it. Even that R5, if it does really kind of find a last wick, and then probably find some downside to that, and we'll look for that pullback for another entry, or if you're in, maybe adding to the bag. This does kind of look like a rising wedge. It's getting that feeling of that too, which would be like an ending diagonal type. So there's even that kind of happening here too. This is on the daily. So if I go back to the 4-hour, it definitely looks something similar to that. So, this will be a little chop action. It was a pivot to R1 and then kind of wigged down close to the pivot. So it should continue up here. It should continue up here. And that's probably how we'll get to that 67, 68 level. R4 is 70. So I don't know if it gets that high or not. I don't even know if we see that type of action this week, but it should probably run into the remainder of the year. And then again, kind of leading towards where I think we're going to see that downside. All right, MSTR. Everyone's talking about MSTR, and yeah, obviously, right? It's crushing it. It's part of Bitcoin, and there's all these things. But I told you guys before, and I brought this up when it was breaking down on the pivot. I said it looks like it's starting to break down. I did say watch out for the pivot to come back up. It did that, but you see how it's not. It's still kind of making like it didn't break this high here. So that was an A, B, C for a B. So we got A, B, and now it looks like we kind of got a 1, 2, and it looked like if we break down here, we actually could get another breakdown. And it would get if this moves as a pivot here, we could see that coming down to this green. And so, although everybody's so bullish on MicroStrategy, and so am I, obviously, it's been great. It just still feels like that there's a pullback coming, and this is kind of the today and yesterday. What really kind of is making me feel a bit more that way because we really wanted to push up. Now, this pivot is important right now. Line in the sand is the pivot, right? So today is going to be locking up soon. It'll probably stay there. What's going to happen in the next couple days is interesting, because if it's going to drop, it might drop kind of quickly. Then what's the news, right? What's going to pop that off? Because something like that is, right now we're just kind of ranging. So it would need something to really kind of draw maybe some negative news towards it. I don't know what that's going to be. But again, we just have this chop here, and I'll get to Bitcoin in a minute, but it still feels like this to me. Okay. I'm not out of this yet. And if this is just a 1-2, here, let me zoom in a little bit more, make sure I'm counting this right, because I'm only looking at the daily. Well, that's another thing too. It's got this accumulation, right? And so, but see how we're when we kind of popped off nice, but now we hit the R1, and now we're kind of like back to the pivot on the weekly. I'm sorry, on the hourly pivots. But what are we doing with holding that? We want to kind of see it jump back up again. So if this is somehow a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we got the pullback back to the 4 here, we should see upside here. So if this doesn't give us upside and starts breaking down here, then my thought process is really probably becoming more accurate. And maybe this is the redistribution kind of range. I don't know, but we need to see this jump, right? And then this will kind of solidify the count being, you know, it's just weird. I just don't like how this is. This looks like 3 up, 1, 2, 3. It's really hard to not get anything else from that. And so, then we got this again, 1, 2, 3. And so this looks like a 1, 2, 3. I think there's another count in here though, like a 1, 2, then the 3. But boy, if I'm just looking at the 4 hour, this looks like a 1, 2, 3. A lot of threes here, and it didn't get above. So if this is a 1, 2, 3, and it didn't get above this one, this probably more corrective than not right now, currently. Okay, starting to wick at the pivots, but there's not much time left in the day. So interesting how maybe some things are going to come out tomorrow. I don't know if there's some Fed or meetings. I don't think there is anymore until the next year, but I don't follow that too much. But I know CPIs and what have you. Everyone follows that. I kind of let just people kind of bring that up, and I just hear about it or read about it afterwards. But anyway, so interesting price action here on the hourly, and like to see it bounce from here if we're going to continue to go up. Okay, so it's at that level right now where it needs to really find a bounce. If it doesn't, it starts breaking down the S1. Let's say tomorrow breaks down the S1, it'll bounce from there and it'll come back. It might find the pivot as resistance, because right now you see it here, resistance or support resistance. The EQ plays really nice here in this case. So if we break down, we're going to see a candle and then wake up, and then we might retest it, and then we might keep breaking down. So tomorrow is probably going to show a lot. I think we're going to get some details here for tomorrow, and then the remainder of the week. We'll probably know where we're kind of heading towards here soon. Because again, I see this all as corrective right now. I'm in that mode of this being corrective. So if that's the case, then I'm looking for the green to fill this gap to start. It's a nice area. Daily, hanging with the pivot. The longer you get into the month, the weaker, in my opinion, this pivot becomes. The more weak this pivot becomes, because the month's over. Month's coming over doesn't mean you pivot. So maybe the pivot's going to move around. But if we start breaking down towards the end of the month, the pivot's probably going to be above it, I guess. So the pivot's probably going to be like right here, maybe. If I had to guess, I don't know. I'm just guessing. Maybe that's like the new pivot. And if we start breaking down and then the month's over, the pivot will be above it. And that's kind of like saying like there could be more downside to that. And that's why how the pivots are so good. They kind of give us a good indication on how the month or the week might look, depending on where it kind of opens into, right? Right now it's just hanging around the pivot, almost like it's a EQ of a range. So there's going to be something happening soon, because you kind of got this like almost like this kind of action. See how price is condensing? Okay, that price is starting to condense here and really tighten up. So we're gonna have something play out of this. I mean, I don't look at the Bollinger Bands really, but maybe if I had to guess, it's probably kind of showing similar action here. When the bands start to tighten up, we see something happen, meaning up or down. So just a lot of things to look at and wait for, and that's going to lead to my Bitcoin look. Okay, so we had all-time high today. Okay, and then we had a really strong 1 hour candle, like very strong. And so now we're just kind of bouncing around. And I know on the 15-minute it was a an R1 to the pivot, which is really bullish. So I'm not 100% bullish on it just yet, and I'll tell you why. Because this to me kind of okay. Here's what I'm going to show you guys a couple of things. Number one, the volume spikes at the tops. So you got this volume spike here near this like wick top, and then you got a really good strong here again, wick top again, and then we got it again here. And so we're getting these really strong volumes at coming at these tops here, but RSI is actually showing us getting like almost bearish divergences, and I believe there's actually one real bearish divergence right here in this candle. So right here, it kind of peaks, and then so at that peak, and then there's a peak here, and it's here. So there's definitely a bearish divergence there, and I think it's even on the 4 hour. No, I don't think it is. It's close, but it's not. The 4 hour does not have it. I thought it did, but it doesn't. So look at all these wicks and everything. There's a lot of action here, and this is really this tells me like, hey, be alert, be aware that shorts are coming in pretty strong again. And it hit the R1 on the hourly, and it's again it wicked up pretty strong after that, and so the shorts might be coming in here. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm thinking about also shorting not Bitcoin, but probably shorting some alts, mid like midterm, meaning like not long term, but just kind of mid range, and looking for some entries. Okay, so you guys might actually see me talk about shorting more than not. Not sure yet. I'm still kind of up in the air on this. Okay, so I'm not turning bearish or anything. I'm just turning to where I want to make money. Okay, I want to make money ultimately. I want to make good trades. I don't want to keep trying to take longs where we're not getting that price action that we need. Okay, I want to take if I'm because we just keep taking longs on breakouts, and the breakouts don't happen. That's because there's not enough. The momentum of buying is going away. And so if that's the case, we're high. We're obviously high on all RSIs, all the dailies, everything's high. There could be some downside coming. Okay, so shorting and trying to find some shorts could be a way to make some money. I'm not saying short it to $12,000 or anything, but I'm saying just there could be some scalp shorts for a little while, and maybe it's a way to generate some extra money, and until we see another good sized wave coming in. Okay, we're definitely topping right now on this hourly, the 1 hour. I have the range in red, meaning because I think it's distribution. I'm going to show you something real quick here. Okay, this is kind of a trick for the eyes. Trick for the eyes. I'm going to invert the scale just for a second here. Okay, I want to show you something. If I didn't know this was inverted, I would look at this and think it was Wyckoff. I'm going to tell you why. You have this, selling climax, right? Coming in hot here, and then this wick here with a lot of volume. Okay, selling climax, automatic retest. Okay, so that's what we look for in Wyckoff. It's clearly an area of support, or was maybe support, and then became resistance because it has all these wicks, and then it kind of just phase two into like kind of a channel here in a way. Look at volume. Okay, train your eyes to look in different directions, right? And look at the volume. We talk about when volume drops, as this drops down, and then we start to see a sudden volume rise. Well, what does it do? It goes wicks, it candles down, super strong candle, and immediately engulfs very large candle back up with not even the same, with less volume technically. Okay. So less volume than the candle that made the all-time high came in and just completely engulfed it, almost engulfed all of these. And then some buyers showed up when it hit this green resistance support area. You see how it wicked right into that? And see all these wicks here? All right, and then see all these wicks here. Okay. So this is an area to really watch here because, you know, are we seeing potentially, like a last point of support? So what could happen is we got this 1, 2. If this kind of comes down as a 3, or it might not even do so. It might actually start. You see how I have this orange here? I got this orange line here as resistance support, and right now it's kind of being tested. Looks like it almost tried to pass it there, and then it kind of wicked into it. But there's that. I mean, this is inverted, of course. This is an inverted chart, okay? So everything is opposite. And right now it could be like 1, 2. If it comes back down here and we see this really strong wick again near the all-time high, that's there's going to be some shorts coming in. It better, if it blasts through, then sweet, we're going to keep rolling. Okay, we're going to keep rolling. But you know, I'm kind of pulling some different techniques here with finding volume. Okay, and we got volume right at this EQ of this range, and so there's just a lot of information here it's telling me that there's possible downside coming, and maybe it's not a lot. Maybe it's back to 103, for example. If we break out of here and we have that jump across the creek type action, well, here's a big candle here. It could come to like 103.50, 103.500, so 103,500, and then find some support here, which is really good, strong support. That would be a nice buying place. That come back down. But this is all just kind of speculation. But seeing how this looks inverted and how it kind of looks like Wyckoff, um, with volume, it's pretty. It's definitely, the approach is there. Okay, the approach is definitely there. It's very bullish still, though. Okay, so even when it looks bearish, the bulls still could win and keep pushing this thing down. So we're just, but again, I'm looking to see what, if this starts to come back up here again, and really want to know what's going to happen near this all-time high or near this bottom of this range, or technically it's the top of the range. I'm going to go back to normal. So if it bounces here, finds the support of this orange, and gets above this, right now it's hitting resistance, then we can come back up here, and then we're really just going to be patient. So patient right now. Okay, this is difficult to trade because it's really wanting to go maybe in two different directions, right? We had some nice candlesticks, and then we had this one, and then we kind of got shot down really hard. We're getting shot down quite a bit, and it's really wanting to possibly go down. Okay, I will share this too. I told you I have an inverted RSI in the top. Well, there's clearly like this bearish divergence through this whole thing, essentially. In the If it would be the, inverted, it would be the oversold area, but it's obviously not. It's overbought. But anyway, so we'll see what happens here. This looks, it looks to be wanting to nice wick here, some good volume. So I'm not, again, I'm not trying to be a bear here. I'm really not. And I know I'm very bullish on Bitcoin, and I just want to be, I just want to make sure I'm not missing something, okay, and not looking at it through one lens. Okay, I'm trying to look at it in different lenses here to make sure, because if there's an opportunity to short and there's a way to make some good money for the next, gosh, what if it goes down for the next 6 weeks? Okay, overall, right? What if? What if there is some downside and it takes a little while? Well, it'd be nice to be shorting that and making some money coming down again. Okay. The daily did basically hit R1. Okay. The daily basically hit R1. And R1 is an area where you should see some resistance. Okay. It's middle of the month. It's middle of the month. So, by the time if it does come back down to pivot, it's going to be the end of the month. So the pivots are going to change. So there's just a lot going on here. Okay, a lot going on here. RSIs are high. They were high over here, and then they're not as high here. Looking at the inverted RSI, it's really low. Okay, it's very low. So, you know, and this could play out to what I'm kind of talking about, how, we could see this down, this the market kind of coming down for a little while and correcting on a larger scale, going into January. Because if this kind of just, bounces around a little bit and then the month's over, well, then what? Are we going to start seeing, if the bullish momentum is starting to close up for a while? I told you a lot of people are taking money off the table. Okay, this feels more of a grind too, right? It feels like we're grinding. Okay, earlier it was just pump and pump and everything was just so solid, right? November was just fantastic. I hope everyone made money. But December, it's almost like everyone's like, all right, took my money, got my Christmas money, I'm gonna take some time off, what have you. Okay. And now it feels more of a grind, especially on that we had that Darth Maul. There was a lot going on there. So, some people thought, ooh, I'm gonna take a short, and they just got, that got wiped out. But now that we're at the R1 and we're getting these larger wicks on the top, oh, you know what I want to look at actually? Here's a good idea. I'm thinking about this literally as we're talking. Okay, so looking at the daily Heiken Hashi candles, so we're still pretty strong on the bottom part of this candle. So we're not getting those wicks. So when you get those wicks below, you start to weaken. Okay, so see how we had this really strong run here, and then see how this next. Okay, see how they're really strong here on these candles. Okay, and then we had that next candle that was smaller than this one, and then we had like a doji, and then watch, see how it reversed right there for us, and it really showed us some reversal. That is another thing to maybe watch here too. Actually, I'll probably keep an eye on this too over the next couple days, and see if we start getting smaller green candles on this Heiken Hashi candle view. Okay, this is a good tool for the daily. Let's see what the 3-day. Look at the 3-day. It looks so good. The 3-day actually looks really strong, so that's pretty impressive. So we would really need to see something come in and really. By the way, we are hitting the 2% level, or the 2 level on the fib extensions, but that's just minimum expected. I was at 100,000. That doesn't. I'm not concerned there yet. So yeah, just looking at this daily. Okay, I want to see how the next couple of days look. If we start to see this smaller candles, then maybe it'll give us some idea that there could be something coming here. But you know, it's really hard to tell just yet because it still looks really good. Okay, so this is giving. Don't mind the pivots. The pivots don't work well on this one. So all right, I'm gonna go back to standard candles, the ones that everyone probably hates on my chart. And yeah, so anyway, got that wick here. I'm just going to be looking at the 1 hour right now. Maybe I'll check the 4 hour and keep that in mind. But the 1 hour for sure locally. I'm looking for some local trades and local price action right now. Okay, local price action for me. If we have some breakdown here, so if we get this breakdown like I was talking to you about, and we break this orange, maybe the orange is pretty strong, but it's kind of okay. It's really actually this green. Okay, the green and the channel. Okay, so if we break the green and it's going to want to come back up again. So let's say we start to break down here. Okay, it'll probably take a little while. I'll probably grind a little bit more, and eventually it might break down, and then we'll see if it tests or busts through that green. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. Something like it's going to grind though. Okay, this is going to be, unless there's some big news that comes out, this is going to grind. That's going to be brutal to watch. So it's been a grinding month, and it's just is what it is. And alts are not really running really that great either. They're grinding too, which is very frustrating. So that makes the market very difficult to trade. Okay, Atom, another one where we got this really strong range, but just not finding anything out of it. It's really brutal. Trading right now is brutal. Okay, so just be cautious. I mean, literally, you're just selling these tops and buying these bottoms, but it's wanting to go, it's starting to curl down. Okay. And I'm going to show you the 4 hour. So the good thing about Atom is it had two levels of support, okay, which is nice. So it had these, that's what's really good to see when you have these double levels of support. So you have the support that's holding the range up, and then you have the support I had to break through originally from here. So that's really nice. So you can see it kind of was starting to break down, but then it found support here on this wick, and now it's coming up. But what's it still doing? It's really struggling with the hourly pivot, which is very strong right now, okay? So this hourly pivot is just been a magnet really for this whole week so far. And I'll tell you right now, this is like this is almost short for me. Okay, like right here, right at this pivot. But with all this strength down here, I really want to see it kind of buckle through that and then retest it and then come down. Okay, so that's why I have these greens up because I want to see how it's got these strong candles going through it and it kind of bounced up again. So there's definitely some buyers and support here. Okay, don't get me wrong, but it's not pushing up. It just keeps falling. It just kind of makes these like higher lows. I'm sorry, lower highs mean, right? It just kind of just eventually it's going to find itself and it's going to lose its floor and it's just going to fall. Okay. I'm thinking, okay, unless it starts to really come up here, it needs to really come up, bust through all this. So it's kind of like this going. Right? Look at all these wicks, right, in the same area. It's really wanting to. It's kind of pushing it, and you see the 50 is really kind of going with it. Now, I will say this though, it did find support here. It was a nice. It would have been nice if this had closed, but then it went down again. I was like, oh my gosh, it was almost engulfing, and then the last hour it really kind of pushed it down. But it's still trying to climb. So if we start seeing it climb and then come back to DQ and then start holding the pivot, then we might start to see that upside that we've been waiting for. But if it just keeps getting denied into this green is kind of like the edge of the cliff, in my opinion. And then it's going to probably fall. It's probably going to fall down to this area. And that'd be a nice little, that could be a nice little gainer on a short. When I'm talking shorts right now, everybody, I just want you to know, first of all, it's not financial advice. I'm talking about what I might do only. Okay. But it's also short term. So it would be like, I mean, that's an 8 foot drop, right? From here, or 8% drop just to get here. That's a nice little short scalp, and then it's going to bounce and it's going to go back to the green. And then that could be another short scalp back to the S1. Okay. So if it's still struggling at the pivot, eventually it's just going to give up. People are going to get more wise to the fact that we're probably seeing downside here, and they're going to most likely start to think shorting more and more. And as the shorts get stronger, the bulls say, you know what, I'm out, and they're gonna get out of the trades, and then shorts are going to really start taking over. Okay, because I mean, look, if you keep trying to buy this, and then it keeps coming down. It's just too frustrating. So if that's when if you're like trying to take longs, but you're having this struggle. Don't first of all, don't forget, everyone's dealing the same thing, right? I mean, I've taken a couple like little small trades, and I'm like, nope, nope, nope. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to lose any money because I don't want to lose money. Number one, but I'm really trying to see it come through, and it's gotten to the point where I'm just like, I'm not doing anything right now. I'm just gonna wait and see if it starts to slip up. And then you start thinking about shorting. So the more people that are longing and they don't like it and they're getting decline, if they're swing traders, and they'll be like, oh shoot, maybe I'll just go and do a short, right? So AVAX, Chris has actually updated and went into a trade on AVAX, and I did too, and then I got out of it. I didn't announce that because he obviously had his own announcement. There's no reason for us both to say we're going in AVAX. And I don't like it because the reason what's happening, it just keeps getting pushed back down in the pivot. It's like, how many times are you going to get nailed down back in the pivot? That's so frustrating to me. I don't like that. And see how the orange again is pushing price into the pivot. And then it did this wick. That was almost like, oh, here we go. And then immediately shot down again. I was like, oh my gosh. So it's telling me that people are really trying to push this or sell it. Okay, sell and short. So, and then we had this one here. This candle did not look good because it got declined. So every time we're going up and then down, up, down, up, down. But if we go up, like it should have been the up candle and then it came back down again, it's really losing. Okay, it's starting to lose. And this green is a very obviously strong support. I'm gonna tell you right now, watch AVAX, okay, because Chris had a stop loss right below here, which is smart. He does that because he obviously sees that there's very strong support here. But what he doesn't want is he doesn't want to see the support get, not become support anymore. It loses its ground, right? Its footing, or the the slab or whatever you want to call it, right? Your foundation. That's the word I was looking for. So if you start losing your foundation and it breaks through and closes because it's always been wicks right here, and it's this stupid doji here that has something to do with it, right? There was this little break in the action, but then it's got these pretty strong candles here. So if we start to break down here, and then we want to go back up and we're retesting that, and it becomes more resistance, this is probably coming down, okay? And maybe, just maybe, this whole thing is actually all more corrective than not. All right, there's a possibility right now that this is just an A B and we still got a C. Okay, because we hit the R1, we came back up. We didn't even go to the pivot, but we went close. We went 50% according to this fibs. We went back up again, but it's really only one strong pump. Like it almost looks like 1, 2, and then 3, right? And this was supposed to be a 4, but the 4 is not finding anything. And it's like the longer that 4 takes, it's like, wait a minute, is it really a 4? Or are we seeing more of a corrective pattern still coming down? All right. So that's why we say be patient. This is what it tells you. So instead of, if you're trying to trade AVAX, maybe just kind of keep an eye on that area. But look, found some support here and then came back down. It's clearly an area here, but it has some wicks here. But it was clearly a downfall into this area here, and that could do the same. Okay, so I'm just trying to stay focused on what price is telling us. Okay, and not just saying, oh, bull, up, 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 long, 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 and then just keep getting stop loss out or whatever you're trying to trade. Especially if you're trading leverage. Okay, if you're trading leverage, this is really frustrating. This is the kind of stuff that'll make you want to quit for a while, right? I don't know if some of you guys are with me on that, but I'll tell you right now that I trade leverage sometimes too, and it's like I don't it can be very frustrating. There's times where it can be really nice. Don't get me wrong, but you should never trade leverage. First of all, if there's a lot of questions in the air, leverage should be like it's very clear where it's going. If there's questions in the air, then just go spot. Honestly, save yourself the headache because at least you're not going to lose that times 3, times 5, whatever your times 10, whatever you're leveraging. Your money's gonna just go. It's gonna bounce around too much. This is too much to. This is really just too much to trade leverage with, in my opinion. Okay, and trust me, I'm talking with experience because I've done it 100 times. So that's what I have to say about AVAX, and I bring it up because it is in the traders club. It's a trade with Chris, and there's nothing against Chris. Obviously, he's amazing, and his trades are awesome. But there's a reason why he put his stop loss right here under this lowest wick because of this. And if it comes down and breaks down, then he didn't lose anything. He probably lose 1%, call it a day. But I'm looking at this, right? As you can see, it's starting to find weakness again. I'm looking at this as, wait a minute, if this is that strong and we break down and it tries to retest it, that's probably a long for me. I mean, I'm sorry, a short for me. Okay. Because this was holding up and it wasn't doing anything and prices want to come down. Well, if it retests it, okay, and it doesn't go back through, okay, and it starts to show resistance instead of support for as long as it was, right? Let's say it does this, right? Break down and then comes back up and then it has struggle here. And then it's like it's trying to it's struggling here, and then all of a sudden, wham. Okay, oops. Oh my gosh. It's not gonna do that. Oh my gosh, that was funny. Yeah. So anyway, what I was trying to say was like it shows resistance, comes back down, maybe even tries a little bit more, but not as high, and then eventually it comes down. Okay. So that's really what we want to see. Now, if it's bullish and it's like a swing failure pattern where it's like it comes down and comes back up again, and it shocks the shorters, right? So that's why you gotta be careful. You don't want to like go short here when it breaks down because it might just be like whoop, and it might trick everybody and do that. Okay, because that is the 50 right there, and this only is like a three up. So this is one, two, three, and this is like the longest four on the planet. But if it does this and then comes back up into this and closes back above the pivot on the green and this orange, well then it tricked all the people that were shorting and they lost all their position, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like it's going to have this really nice upswing because all the shorts that were here might start losing themselves as well. And we see a breakout and then we start to see upside. So we are getting to this point very soon. As you can see, the orange line is the clear line that's pushing price down and it's not wanting to break up. Okay, like that wick is telling us right here. Okay, that wick was an important wick. Okay, because we had like one, two, three, basically four taps on this orange line. I know my line's not exactly perfect, but you can see it's there. This is basically a tap. I mean, virtually one, two, three, four, at least three, if not four. And then it should have broke out, and it said, nope, no, no. Okay, so again, this is giving us indication that there's some downside going on. So I want to explain that to you. Here's another one, not. I've talked about not before. Um, And I'm gonna tell you right now, this is actually one I do have a short in. I'm just kind of testing the waters on the shorts right now because I want to see if I'm having more success shorting. Then that's the kind of like that balance, right? If you're starting to go to the short side of things, you test the waters with that because you still might be off, right? You might be like, oh, that was not short. But see here, this is kind of what I was talking about with AVAX. It's already happening with not. Okay, so it had it here as resistance. It broke through, and look at all the support. One, two, three, four, and then it finally broke down, and then it came back to retest it. And sure enough, it got denied. There was no more funds in the account, right? Their card got declined. Okay, so now you can see it's like, whoa, what are we doing, right? And so if you were like maybe long here, see people that are long, they're like, oh, maybe it'll still come back up. That's kind of a scary feeling. So if you were long here, right here, and you kind of let it go down, you're still people that don't know how to set stop losses. They might be in this still, and as it starts to come down, they'll be like, oh, I'm out. I don't want to keep losing money, and they get out, and then that's when you start to really see this thing ramp down. So my short is right in here. Um, Yeah, it's right in this area. It's like, and I'm sorry, I didn't put it on the Traders Club because I wasn't 100% confident yet. I do some trades here and there that are just whatever. They're not like super confident, so I'm not gonna give you guys a bunch of crap. I'm trading stuff that I'm very serious about and I feel strongly, like XRP, right? That way, and that was another one too. I'm gonna get to XRP in a sec, but this is where I'm short right here. I'm short about 0.07675 area, right where it kind of was coming back in. Okay, it was really recent. I want to see what that does. Okay, if it pops back out, no big deal. I got a stop loss just above here, right here actually at this candle, this tall candle here, because that's where it found this really strong resistance. So that's my stop loss. Okay, and then I'll just kind of wait it out if that was wrong. Okay, but right now it's looking kind of nice because it looks like it's ready to drop again. RSIs also look like they're coming curling towards the down. And sure enough, inverted RSI is holding up the MA and above EQ. This is why I have an inverted RSI on the top because it makes me, when I'm looking at things in the short or in a bearish view, this gives me, because my eyes are so trained to look at bullish stuff all the time, especially when you've been bullish for over a year, since, November lows of last year. Or gosh, I don't even know how long it's been now. Maybe it's been 2 years. Um, this is nice to see that because this is kind of a bullish look, but it's inverted, so it makes me. It's confusing. Sorry, I'm probably confusing everyone right now. I do have that there for a reason. All right, XRP. Okay, so XRP, I went into a trade way back here. I think it was on Saturday or Friday, and I saw this as a. I thought I saw this as 5 up, and so I thought I was getting a 2. but it wasn't. It had one more, and then it came back down. Or maybe this was a flat. That could have been ABC, and then because this would literally look like a 5 up to me. So this could have been like a flat ABC, and this was the wait, no, that was 5. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me make sure. Let me gather my thoughts here. Make sure I'm saying this right. So we did 5 up here, then A, B, and then C down here. That's right. So I told you my stop loss was way down here. I didn't like that because it was so low. So I had to kind of calculate the way we lose money, or make sure we control how much we lose. So that was the amount of volume that went into there compared to my overall amount of money was difficult to calculate. And so I just kind of watched it and was patient with it. And it was at one point I was like, man, I think I'm going to bounce out of this, but it didn't hit low yet. And then it started finding support, and then it really actually went into something that I didn't see right away was this accumulation range for the ABC. It's right here. Let me just delete this just for a second. It's right here. So it like accumulated and then up, and then came out here, kind of did a spring, and then went into a jump cross creek, and then it actually came back and tested that creek right here. Okay, so that was pretty sweet. That helped out. And right now, our long is really well. It's doing very well, but it went to the R1 hourly. See, when I made this, I was looking at the hourly R1 before as a target, and it was higher. But now it's lower, and we hit the R1. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, everyone right now, we need to find, in my opinion, we need to find support in this green, or I might bounce out of this thing. All right, because if it goes down the pivot, right, and it hits this green and that becomes resistant, that's going to drive me nuts. And I don't even want to play with this thing anymore. I mean, honestly, I really don't. I don't want to mess around with this. It needs to kind of keep going. It looks like a 1, 2, 3. If it pops up here, then I should have took a little bit off the top here at R1. I wish I did, honestly, but I didn't. I probably would have took 25% at that R1. I just, it's been kind of a crazy Monday for me with the family, and then today's been really busy with work. But 25% should have been taken off the table at that R1. Okay, when you're mid between the pivots like this, between pivot and R1, and you hit R1, that's a good opportunity if you're in the green to take some off the table, because there's a really good chance it comes back down to the regular pivot again, and that might be the case. I don't know. It's the count looks like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like we got 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is such a weird count because this looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and done. So what we would look for, right? Because this is the bottom of wave 2, and if this is 3. Yeah, see, it's hitting that 0.38, 382 level. Here's the 382 level. So it's right in that area. There's the 5, and then here's the 618. So that's why I don't want to go past that green, because then it's getting like really low, right? And then what's happening there, right? And then maybe this whole count is weird. So I got a 1, 2, and then maybe a 1, 2. That would be ideal. Oh my gosh, if that's the case. Oh, wait a minute. This is 1, 2, 1, 2, and it's working on a 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is gonna be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It should be in 4, and then one more up, 5, and then we'll take it back down for wave 4. So it should still have. I guess what I'm trying to say is still has running room to go up. If the count is correct, this is just a 1, 2, 3, and this is a 4 here, where it's correcting right now, and it should still have some more upside for a wave 3 of a wave 5 of 3. Okay. Hope I didn't confuse everybody with that wave count. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so upside. That target would still be here. Oh, you know what? There you go. I don't want to lose that. Still have this as a target. Sure enough, that sure does look good. I'll probably be pulling a lot off the table there if it hits this area. That $2.88. $2.88. Okay, so the extension gives you 284. So I'm gonna probably watch that too, maybe 284. Got to start pulling some off the table here, or it's gonna suck because if this, if this is 3 and it really wants to come down again, because price action is getting a little wonky in the rest of the market, well, you're gonna want to have take some profit. Just my opinion. Okay. That's XRP. That's my update there. In INJ, I talk about things that are falling off the cliff. Well, INJ kind of looks that way. It's not holding up good. This count is brutal, by the way. But 1, 2, 3 into the pivot and still getting denied. I hate that. I really don't like that at all. So, maybe there's a triangle here, and this is just a 1. This count is so brutal, but this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, it can't be because that came down below that. So I don't know. There's a part of me, everybody, I'll tell you right now, that this is an A, B, and we're working on a C. Okay, because the count is just really rough to read it out. And if this is like this crazy long wave 4, this is 1, 2, 3. I don't know. I don't see it. I just don't. And it's really kind of wanting to come down still. And these, this 3 up into the pivot and keeps getting declined. I don't know. Just not a fan of that. Okay. So I'm just, I was kind of hoping it would hold up here and start going because I was kind of thinking that this was like this was a 1. So like a 1, 2, 3, and then up here, I think I talked about it on the chat line, but it didn't hold up again. I was like, okay, well maybe that's not the case. But I was thinking this was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it was like a leading diagonal for a smaller wave 1, but it's just not finding anything there. So now I'm looking at, okay, is there more downside here? And then if that's the case, probably looking at that S1, and it could even be more than that because that S1, if it taps that, it made a lower low here too. You could get creative here and maybe throw a range here. I noticed this a lot about the alts too. Some of these might be ranging more than we think. Okay, but it's pretty high in the range. So, normally it kind of goes down a little bit more and it's really kind of hanging out here. So I'm not sure if that's the case, but it could be something to watch. FXS is another one. FXS. So here, I'm gonna go to 4-hour for a second. Got a really nice orange resistance line that I was really hoping to break. Really hoping to break this because although it doesn't work on the top, but it does work here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it's like tapping this thing like crazy. So I'm like, okay, there's something there, right? But now it was so strong is that it lost this green support. See right here? It whipped down below it. It came into it again, and then it came in again. This actually looked like a redistribution, and now it broke down, and it's looking to break up, and it's not finding anything. So it's starting to become resistance, and this is a 4-hour. So we got the 1 breakdown, 2 down here, it wicked up, and now the 3rd candle, 4 hours below this, it's kind of got that 3 candle close action, and we could actually see this possibly falling down too. This is just kind of leads to my thought that this is an A, B, still working on a C. Okay, so, and this is a super choppy, so I'm going to go to the daily real quick. As you can see, A, B, maybe this is a WXY and then a B, an A, and this has got a 1, 2, and here's a 3, 4, 5, or something like that. So the daily pivot seems pretty strong, obviously. The green and the red, they flipped, so that's nice. So If in fact it does go to the pivot, it will probably find some nice support, and that would be your ABC, and that would be probably a really nice place to long. So that's interesting. So just something to think about there. And RSIs are really low there, and the inverted is starting to get up maybe. But this is going to just probably chop down. It's going to drive everyone crazy. Excuse me. So anyway, that's the ones that I got today for everybody. Just about an hour, which is pretty typical for me now, right? So there you go. So if this can get back up again, this is in play, okay? That's what I wanted to show you too. You know, it's kind of like, this could be a 1-2. Okay, see how this is wicking right here a little bit, little hammer candle action. So this is a 1-2, and we see this 3 in a very bullish scenario. We could see this 3 really just plow through everything here. Okay, so if this is a 3, 1, so it's like 1, 2, 3 is going to be like wham, like that. It'll look like something like that. Okay. So we want to, if this is going to take off, you see this, that's going to be, oh, there we go. That's what we wanted, right? That's what we want to see. And then my thought process of it going down is probably out, and we're actually thinking about going up. Oh, and 3 is way up here. So this can be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then gosh, I mean, yeah, that's pretty nice. So this is a 1, 2. This could just be a 1 of 3 right here to break out and then come back. So probably like test this area like this. So this is something for sure to watch. Again, this green area, so important. So yeah, I kind of like this. This is, I mean, again, I'm testing the waters with some shorts, but I'm not going all in. But if this starts to lose itself and starts coming down, then the thought process is probably more accurate than not. You could see when it did come up, it sure enough hit where all this support was at. There was the one breakdown there, and it got denied. So it's going to try again, maybe. It kind of did right here. So, it needs to find something soon. If it doesn't, then it's more downside. Okay, so that's where I'm at. Okay, so that was FXS. Yeah, hopefully that helps you, everyone, out. It kind of explains to you where my head's at right now. It kind of, lets you know, like, hey, this is what I'll be looking at. If I do see this, I will say this. If I do see this pop up, I'm going to be like, all right, this is going to be a one for me, because I'm definitely watching this one. All the ones I shared with you are the ones that I'm clearly watching, right? Here's Not. Look at Not's doing. Hammering. Remember I told you I had this little short right here? Not looking good right now. Not with that hammer. Okay, so like I said, you test the waters a little bit. Doesn't work out. Doesn't work out. Then this is maybe a 1-2, and then we got a 1-2. We got this stronger 3 pushing through. This is going to add a lot more confidence that there is upside coming, and that this is maybe a wedge. Actually, I didn't even say anything about the wedge, but just all things to look for and consider. All right. Anyway, y'all take care. Have a great day. Trade safe, and we will see you at TWC. All right. Thanks again.